In November 1986, our next guest became the youngest ever heavyweight champion of the world. You can hear about that and much, much more in his new one-man show, Return of the Mike. Please welcome Mike Tyson.
He was the most feared man on the planet, not because he talked trash, not because he played mind games, but because when the bell rang, men stopped believing they could survive her. A teenager knocking out grown professionals, a heavyweight champion before most people finished college, a human weapon built on rage, fear, and destruction. And then, he lost everything. Money, reputation, freedom, respect. This is not just a boxing story. This is the story of Mike Tyson, a boy shaped by violence, turned into a monster by genius, unleashed onto the world, and almost destroyed by the same forces that made him great. Before the belts, before the fame, before the fear. There was Brownsville, Brooklyn. In the 1970s, Brownsville wasn't just rough. It was one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in America. Crime wasn't news. Crime was routine. Broken homes, street gangs, or drugs, violence on every corner. This was the environment that raised Michael Gerard Tyson, born June 30th, 1966. Mike was not born dangerous. He was small, soft-spoken, emotionally fragile. Other kids sensed it immediately. They stole his money. They took his clothes. They beat him in front of others just to laugh. Mike later said something chilling. "I cried every day. I hated myself." He had a stutter. He avoided eye contact. He felt powerless. Until the rage arrived. Pain doesn't disappear. It transforms. By age 10, Mike learned a simple rule of survival. Hurt them before they hurt you. He started fighting back, then attacking first. By 11, Mike was already stealing, robbing, fighting. By 13, he had been arrested over 30 times. The streets didn't just harden him, they programmed him. Violence became comfort, anger became identity. But without direction, Mike Tyson would have either ended up dead or locked up for life. Then fate intervened. Mike was sent to Tryon School for Boys, a detention center. That's where he met Bobby Stewart, a former boxer. Stewart noticed something terrifying. Mike could knock people out, naturally. Stewart introduced Mike to a legendary, obsessive, and controversial trainer, Cus D'Amato. Cus didn't see a troubled kid. He saw raw nuclear potential. Cus once said, "I knew within minutes this kid could be the greatest fighter who ever lived." Cus became father coach, psychologist, cult leader. He took Mike into his home. He controlled what Mike ate when Mike slept, how Mike spoke, how Mike thought Cus didn't train fighters. He manufactured fear. Cus D'Amato taught Mike something revolutionary. Fear is not weakness. Fear is fuel. Cus made Mike listen to affirmations every night. "I am the best. I am invincible. My opponents fear me." He hypnotized him, conditioned him, rebuilt his self-image. Cus also taught him the peekaboo boxing style. Constant head movement, explosive power closing distance, fast destroying opponents up close Mike. Wasn't just learning boxing, he was becoming a predator. Cus used to tell him, "You are not human in the ring, you are a killer." And Mike believed it. At 18 years old, Mike Tyson turned professional. The boxing world wasn't ready. Fight after fight ended the same way. First round knockouts, brutal finishes, opponents collapsing in fear. Commentators ran out of words. Crowds didn't cheer. They gasped. By 1986, Mike Tyson was 20 years old. He became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, defeating Trevor Berbick. He didn't just win, he terrified. Eyes cold, no smile, no mercy. He unified all belts, WBC, WBA, IBF. He was rich beyond imagination, famous beyond control, feared beyond comparison. Mike Tyson wasn't just a boxer, he was a cultural event, but there was a problem. Cus D'Amato was gone. Cus died in 1985, just before Mike became champion. The one man who controlled the monster was no longer there. Mike was now surrounded by yes men, opportunists, party promoters, parasites. No one told him no. No one challenged him. The discipline cracked. The routine collapsed. Drugs entered. Alcohol followed. Women multiplied. Mike was still winning, but something was slipping. And when discipline dies, collapse begins. By the late 1980s, Mike Tyson had everything. Money beyond imagination. Fame on a global scale. Fear that followed him everywhere. But what he did not have anymore was structure. Cus D'Amato had once controlled every hour of Mike's day. Now, Mike controlled everything, and everyone around him depended on his money. That's a dangerous position for a young man who never learned self-control. Mike was still knocking people out, still defending his titles, still terrifying opponents. But outside the ring, his life was unraveling. He stayed out late, missed training sessions, ignored coaches, surrounded himself with people who never said no. Luxury replaced discipline, ego replaced hunger. Mike later admitted, "I wasn't training to be great anymore. I was training just enough to win." And eventually, just enough stopped being enough. In 1988, Mike Tyson married actress Robin Givens. From the outside, it looked glamorous. From the inside, it was explosive. Their relationship was filled with emotional instability, public arguments, media drama, accusations of abuse. Robin Givens famously said on national television that Mike had a volatile temper. That interview shattered Tyson's image. For the first time, the public didn't see a controlled champion. They saw an unstable man. The marriage ended in divorce after only 8 months, but the damage was permanent. Mike's private life was now public entertainment, and the cracks were impossible to hide. February 11th, 1990, Tokyo, Japan. Mike Tyson versus James "Buster" Douglas. On paper, this was a joke. Douglas was a 42-1 underdog. Tyson didn't train. Seriously, he partied. He ignored preparation. He believed the myth of his own invincibility. Douglas, meanwhile, had just lost his mother. He fought with purpose, with hunger, with nothing to lose. From the opening bell, something felt wrong. Douglas stood his ground. He fought back. He refused to be intimidated. Round after round, Mike struggled. He looked confused, slow, frustrated. In the 10th round, the impossible happened. Mike Tyson was knocked out, flat on his back, staring at the lights, searching for his mouthpiece on the canvas. The most feared man in boxing was defeated. That night didn't just end the fight. After the loss, the illusion was gone. Opponents no longer feared Mike Tyson. They believed he could be beaten. And when fear disappears in boxing, power disappears with it. Mike tried to come back. He won fights. But something fundamental had changed. The discipline was gone. The aura was broken. The monster no longer scared himself. And without fear of himself, Mike Tyson became dangerous in a different way. The headlines changed, no longer about knockouts, now about police reports. Mike Tyson's name appeared next to assault allegations, street fights, threats, lawsuits. Everywhere he went, chaos followed. He was angry, paranoid, uncontrolled. He trusted no one. And yet, he listened to everyone, except the people trying to help him. Then came the moment that destroyed everything. In 1991, Mike Tyson met Desiree Washington, an 18-year-old beauty pageant contestant. What happened next became one of the most controversial cases in sports history. Washington accused Tyson of rape. Mike denied it. The trial was public, brutal, relentless. Every detail of Tyson's private life was exposed, every flaw magnified. In 1992, Mike Tyson was convicted of rape, sentenced to 6 years in prison, eligible for parole after 3. At 25 years old, at what should have been the peak of his career, Mike Tyson was sent to prison, the heavyweight champion of the world. Now, inmate Dap Sanbautone 22335. Prison stripped Mike Tyson of everything. No money, no fame, no fear. In prison, no one cared who he used to be. There were no cameras, no crowds, no belts, just concrete walls and time. For the first time in his life, Mike couldn't fight his way out. He had to sit with his thoughts, with his anger, with his past. Tyson later said prison forced him to confront something terrifying. I didn't know who I was without violence. But prison didn't instantly change him. It didn't make him peaceful. It simply slowed the destruction. While Mike Tyson sat in prison, boxing moved on. New champions rose. New stars replaced him. The world forgot. Sponsors disappeared. Fans debated his legacy. Critics wrote him off. Many believed his career was over. His reputation was beyond repair. His name would only be remembered for scandal. Mike Tyson, once the center of the boxing universe, was now an afterthought. And that realization hurt more than any punch. In 1995, after serving 3 years, Mike Tyson was released from prison. The cameras returned, the hype returned, the money returned. He stepped back into the ring, and at first, it looked like a comeback. He won fights, he regained the heavyweight title, but something was missing. The fear was incomplete, the discipline unstable, the hunger inconsistent. Mike was back, but he was no longer the same man who once destroyed opponents effortlessly, and deep down, he knew it. When Mike Tyson returned from prison in 1995, the boxing world wanted to believe the story, the fallen king, the redemption arc, the unstoppable champion reborn, and at first it seemed real. Tyson demolished opponents quickly, the knockouts returned, the belts returned, he regained the WBC heavyweight title. The crowds roared again, the money poured in again, but something was different. Mike wasn't feared the same way. Opponents no longer froze, they believed they could survive. Behind the scenes, the discipline still wasn't there. Training camps were inconsistent. The structure Cus D'Amato once enforced was gone forever. Mike was winning on talent alone, and talent without control always expires. There was one man Mike Tyson could not intimidate, Evander Holyfield. Holyfield wasn't scared of Tyson's power. He welcomed it. He thrived under pressure. Their first fight in 1996 shocked the world. Holyfield outboxed Tyson, outworked him, outlasted him. Mike Tyson lost again, and this loss cut deeper than Buster Douglas, because Holyfield didn't just win, he exposed Tyson. The frustration consumed him. The rage boiled over. The monster inside Mike had nowhere to go. That anger would explode in the rematch. June 28, 1997, Las Vegas. Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield. This fight wasn't about belts, it was about pride, about control, about identity. From the opening round, Mike struggled. Holyfield dominated him physically and mentally. Mike felt powerless. And then, it happened. Mike Tyson bit Evander Holyfield's ear, not once, but twice. Blood spilled onto the canvas. The crowd fell silent. The referee stopped the fight. Mike Tyson was disqualified. In a single moment, decades of greatness collapsed. The heavyweight champion of the world, reduced to a global embarrassment. The consequences were immediate and brutal. Boxing license revoked, millions in fines, sponsors disappeared. Public ridicule exploded, late-night comedians mocked him, fans abandoned him, media destroyed him. Mike Tyson wasn't just controversial anymore, he was toxic. The ear bite didn't just damage his career, it rewrote his legacy. After Holyfield, Tyson spiraled. Drugs returned, alcohol intensified, paranoia grew. He trusted no one, fought everyone, destroyed relationships. He continued boxing, but the performances declined, losses mounted, the body slowed, the mind fractured. He wasn't fighting opponents anymore, he was fighting himself, and he was losing. Mike Tyson earned over $400 million during his career, yet in 2003 he declared bankruptcy. How does that happen? Mansions across the world, luxury cars, exotic animals, jewelry worth millions, massive legal settlements, drug habits, terrible advisors. At one point, Tyson couldn't pay basic bills, from the most feared man on earth to financially ruined. Rock bottom had arrived. Mike Tyson officially retired from boxing in 2005, not as a champion, not as a hero, but as a broken man. He admitted publicly, "I was just fighting to survive. I didn't love boxing anymore." The sport that made him famous could no longer save him, and without boxing, Mike had to face himself. Something changed when the noise stopped. No cameras, no belts, no expectations. Mike Tyson began therapy. He confronted his trauma, his childhood, his rage. He admitted his mistakes publicly. He stopped pretending to be invincible. He embraced humility, something he had never learned. Slowly, the world saw a different Mike Tyson. Honest, reflective, human. This comeback didn't happen in a ring, it happened in conversation. Tyson appeared in podcasts, interviews, documentaries, movies, not as a monster, but as a survivor. He spoke openly about abuse, addiction, regret, accountability. And surprisingly, people listened. Mike Tyson never denied his past. He owned it. He acknowledged the harm, the pain, the destruction. That honesty changed public perception. People didn't forgive him because he was famous. They respected him because he was truthful. Mike Tyson's career wasn't destroyed by opponents. It was destroyed by lack of discipline, emotional trauma, fame without guidance. He remains one of the most dangerous boxers ever. One of the biggest what-if stories in sports. A warning about talent, without control, and also proof that survival is possible after failure. The real lesson of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson didn't lose his career in the ring, he lost it outside the ring, but his life proved something powerful. You can lose your titles, you can lose your money, you can lose your reputation, and still rebuild your soul. Mike Tyson didn't come back as a champion, he came back as a man. If you enjoyed this full documentary on Mike Tyson's rise, fall, scandals, and redemption, like the video, subscribe for more deep dive documentaries. Comment below, do you believe Mike Tyson could have been the greatest heavyweight of all time if his demons hadn't won?